It's fair to say that the INTJ and INTP personality types look the same from the outside. Truth be told, even many INTJs or INTPs might mistake themselves for the other type. But there are actually 10 key differences that illustrate just how different these two brilliant personality types are from each other. Welcome back, Psychos! Today, we'll be looking at how you can tell yourself, or someone else, apart from either INTJ or INTP. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, as well as click the notification bell so you never miss a video. And speaking of videos, let's dive right in, starting with difference number 1, thought versus intuition. The dominant mental process for the INTJs is introverted intuition, meaning their primary focus is the pattern, underlying meaning, or large-scope vision of a thing, which is in contrast to internally analyzing and categorizing the information they perceive. For them, getting into the zone comes from getting a sense of seeing the future and then evaluating what's more likely to occur. INTPs, on the other hand, are more naturally inclined towards introverted thinking. They feel completely at home with logical analysis and complex problem solving. You'll see them thrive at solving puzzles, categorizing the data they've come across, and then refining information to find the closest thing they can to truth. They also enjoy visualizing future possibilities, but logical analysis is their go-to activity. Difference number 2. External organization versus internal organization. INTJs prefer logically organizing and structuring their outer worlds, a process called extroverted thinking. Everything should be sorted in accordance with a certain system or category and have its own place. In short, INTJs prize a streamlined, efficient environment. They usually have no problem directing and delegating, although they might think they can do things better on their own. INTPs follow a different process. They're often uninterested in external environment's exact conditions, caring only about their internal world. So as long as they can sort out their own ideas, theories, thoughts, and facts and keep them in mental categories, they're satisfied, so long as they can figure out where to put new information into their mental Rolodex. Their outside environments could be less than perfect. This process is called inverted thinking. INTPs are also not very big fans of directing or delegating. Difference number 3. Where they get hunches from. If you find yourself getting a aha moment while doing something random like cooking dinner or taking a shower, you're most likely to be an INTJ. That's when you run to your notepad or computer, get it out your head, and then analyze it to figure out how you came to that conclusion. INTPs differ in the way that they consciously sit down and see patterns in data and information. The possibilities and ideas occur to them, and they analyze each to determine which is the most viable. Or to put it shortly, INTJs seem to get their vision out of the blue, while INTPs who find their needle by searching the haystack. Difference number 4. Stress response. Times of stress bring out more of an INTP or INTJ's natural differences as well. However, it's important to keep in mind that both tend to grow detached and problem-focused. The difference is whether they do it through thinking or intuition. These variances also intensify depending on how stressed they are. Under normal levels of stress, INTJs become more reclusive, focused on abstract mental scenarios. INTPs alternatively obsess over analyzing data and their past experiences. But when the stress grows extreme or recurs on a regular basis, INTJs wrap themselves in a sensory activity to indulge in, consuming more food or drink. Obsessing over environmental details or over-exercising are examples. INTPs experience the same levels or frequencies of stress, become strangely sensitive and insecure. In contrast to shutting out the world via sensory experience, they take things completely to heart, worrying about people's opinions of them. Difference number 5. How they apply knowledge. To put it simply, INTJs apply knowledge externally, while INTPs apply knowledge internally. But what does that even mean? Well, INTJs need their accrued knowledge to impact the world, with introverted intuition and extroverted thinking as their two main functions. The INTJ uses knowledge to improve their external environment. Their lessons and insights become fuel for strategically making a more efficient, improved outer world, ultimately with the hope of solving the world's problems on some level. It's different for INTPs, who just want to learn for the sake of learning, with the opposite dominant function of external intuition and internal thinking. The INTJs want to broaden their own personal understanding of the world's functions. They don't feel compelled to necessarily do anything with the information they know, meaning they don't feel as called to implement changes in the outside world. Difference number 6. Their response to other people's reaction to their ideas. INTJs want to achieve their goals, focused on their personal value system. It's not necessary for others to agree with them, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. In their view, the truth will out. Even general social approval is irrelevant to them. On the surface, INTPs don't seem to care about social opinion. They look self-absorbed in creating and refining their inner systems, even as they do it for the purpose of understanding their world. They seek to shape in an accordance with their own mental blueprint, using their knowledge and big ideas to improve things of others. However, this perceived self-absorption evaporates when people disagree with them. They grow frustrated because in the end they do want to have a positive response to their efforts. Ironically, they have a harder time expressing both their thoughts and solutions to INTJs precisely because their knowledge is so focused internally during their usual functions. Difference number 7. Appearing direct or flexible. INTJs appear blunt and logical in their speech, as they're usually already assured of their stance. They don't mind challenges or debate to this self-aligned vision. But INTPs prefer to discuss ideas, angles, theories, and alternatives rather than directly claiming they're right. They don't mind pointing out what's false, but don't want to say they're correct. In fact, they see so many ways of looking at things that what is correct seems hard to judge to them. Skepticism and questioning comes naturally to INTPs, but they see the conclusion as something to be found, not experienced, and so take more time to form their conclusions. Difference number 8. Leading. Similar to their approach to social opinions, INTJs generally prefer to work on their own, achieving their desired results. When leading, they prefer the individuals they're leading to enjoy the high-level intellectual debate and complex challenges which stimulate their own minds so greatly. INTPs are the opposite in that they don't want those who follow them to come with questions, preferring instead they follow their own initiative. They want any sort of discussion or debate that is ultimately brought to them to be well thought through by that point, versus a constructive discovery that's shared between them. In short, they want things prepared before they occur, instead of reveling in the experience of building the plan with others. Difference number 9. Emotional interaction. While both INTJs and INTPs excel at problem solving, becoming obsessive about the process in their own unique ways, they divert from each other in how they interact with others emotionally and how well they perceive the emotion of others. While INTJs tend to perceive and understand the feelings and intent of others rather well due to their enjoyment of stimulating intellectual debates, INTPs struggle here. They're so used to determining the logical systems of problems and systems in their head that when they have to deal with something decidedly illogical, like someone's subjective emotions and feelings, it's so foreign to them that they tend to come across as cold and uncaring. After all, their primary interest is solely in the actual solving of problems, not experiencing the process leading to the solution. And difference number 10, mental hierarchy. Ultimately, INTPs are in a constant state of discovery because they are more focused on learning for their own sake. This leads to less of a focus on being right, particularly given that they don't care much how the answer impacts the world around them. This leads them to being single-minded in their search and often detached from anything beyond their thirst for knowledge. INTJs share many of these characteristics, whether it's the unyielding desire for more knowledge or being constantly aware of opportunities to make new connections. However, they differ in that they externalize their thoughts and desires. It isn't enough for them to learn something new or go down another mental rabbit hole. They need it to mean something, to lead to a tangible result, like a successful campaign or project in the real world. This also leads them to growing frustration when they fail, since they so heavily associate themselves with the result and competence. For them, it isn't enough to learn more. What they know and are capable of needs to be reflected in a practical achievement. Well, that's it for today, Psychos. So, do you think you could be either of these two personality types? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already.